In a culture that prioritizes a constant go, go attitude, is it any wonder why we are all burnt out and thoroughly exhausted? We are constantly being measured by others, by ourselves, according to our output, our productivity. And so we are perpetually being pressured into doing more, even when it's degrading our bodies, even when it's eroding our minds. We look upon the productive person with a kind of reverence, but rarely do we ask what they've had to sacrifice in order to maintain that speed. This mythos of hyperproductivity is glamorized by figures like Alex Hormozy, though of course Hormozy is just one of many like figures. He is a kind of public symbol of a deeper cultural illness, a worldview where worth is measured solely by output, by how much you grind, by how many hours you can stack back to back like trophies. In such a world, there is no space for stillness. There is no value placed on inner life. We all seem just terrified of rest. Like if we stopped, we would actually have to feel something. These figures, they don't just work hard. They really are solely identified with their work. And they want to make us all believe that that is a virtue, that working yourself to the bone is something good. But to me, being hyperproductive is just another way of shrinking yourself down into something that the machine can use. It's a kind of self-erasure of yourself, a total reduction of your humanity into just being a kind of worker cog. And isn't it interesting how these figures, like Alex Hormozy, David Goggins, other sort of discipline, grit, hustle characters, isn't it interesting how these figures are constantly promoted on mainstream social media? Maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe it's the system trying to keep the myth alive that productivity is moral, that output equals goodness, and that exhaustion is noble. So the average person, chained to their job and stripped of time, they start to believe that their captivity is actually success. Because the system will always try to convince the slave that their chains are a gift. And anything that can't be measured, that can't be monetized, it gets erased, it gets shoved to the back, is seen as not useful to the system. What is the value of rest? Only fuel for more work. What is the value of nature, of being mentally well? Only the performance gains that it might deliver. And this is really the reality of the Kali Yuga, what ancient Hindu philosophy called the age of spiritual decline, where truth is obscured and everything sacred is flattened into transaction. Corporations chase profit, workers chase income, capital owners chase holdings. And it seems as though the entire world has this dead-eyed obsession with quantity, with the accumulation of material things. And under this spell, we lose all sense of what really matters. The planet burns, cities choke on air pollution, and no one really bats an eyelid because the quarterly reports look good. And we come to value digits on a screen more than the actual integrity of our consciousness. So why does slowing down matter? Because slowing down breaks the trance of this culture. It creates space by which we can witness the madness. It's a pause. It's a disruption to the default self-destructive momentum that our culture is currently pursuing down. And in that pause, something can reorient, not just in you, but in potentially all of us. If enough of us slow down, if enough of us see, maybe the tide of the collective will shift. But right now, of course, most people just keep going, even though deep down they suspect that something is off. They feel it in their gut, but they're too tired, too fatigued by the system to look at it truly in the eyes. The programming, it runs too deep, and the tunnel vision that is caused by this programming is too strong. And so there is no space to imagine anything different. And to imagine alternatives, really, we have to allow ourselves to be without constantly needing to do. And it seems as though our culture is really allergic to that. If you're not doing something, you're seen as lazy, you're seen as directionless, you're seen as wasting time. But wasting time according to who exactly? What are we really working towards if we never stop long enough to taste the fruits of that work? Are we all not just working to avoid a confrontation with our own inner emptiness, that quiet, gnawing void that hums underneath our obsession with more? Stillness invites introspection, and maybe that is why stillness is so feared. Maybe that's why a chronically busy society actually reveals a society that is terrified to look at itself, a culture that will do anything to avoid self-awareness, a culture that will only ever numb itself. It will only ever seek sedation, distraction, and it will repeat that cycle over and over again. And maybe that's the real issue. There is such a lack of introspection in our world today. And not just a lack, really, but an active resistance against it. Mass distraction, mass hypnosis, it isn't just a side effect of modern life, it's a feature I've come to realize. Maybe it's always been this way. Maybe mass hypnosis is simply how large-scale human societies operate once they reach a certain complexity. Now, I don't pretend to have it all figured out, but I do know this. Waking up is better than dreaming. Even if the dream is comfortable, even if the truth is ugly. Only children get to live in fantasy worlds forever. And I feel there is a rite of passage in truly growing up. And that rite demands that we confront things as they are, that we face the illusions, that we burn them down, that we stop pretending and we start seeing. To pierce the veil, even when it hurts, that is the yogic path, the path of clarity, of stillness, of cutting through the bullshit. And honestly, that is the only path that I can ever stand behind. And so, to leave a few lasting remarks to you, the viewer, remain curious, remain open, and remain discerning. Thank you.